Every empire dreams of the moment when history bends in its favor, when struggle ends, when destiny finally pays its debt. For Spain, that moment arrived not through wisdom, invention, or patience, but through accident. In the early 1500s, Spain was powerful but fragile. Fresh from centuries of war against Muslim kingdoms during the Reconquista, it was a society shaped by battle, faith, and hierarchy. Its nobles knew how to fight. Its kings knew how to command. But economically, Spain was thin. It produced little, traded little, and saved less. Then the New World cracked the equation. At first, the conquests of the Americas brought prestige, land, and myth. Then, in 1545, they brought something far more dangerous, a mountain of silver. High in the frozen Andes of what is now Bolivia, at over 13,000 feet above sea level, stood a barren hill. Indigenous people had long avoided it, whispering that it was cursed. One day, a man named Diego Gualpa stumbled while chasing a llama and exposed its secret. The ground shimmered. The hill was bleeding metal. This was Cerro Rico, the rich mountain. It was not a mine. It was a geological impossibility. Veins of nearly pure silver ran so thick that, or could be chipped away with simple tools. When Spanish officials confirmed the discovery, disbelief gave way to frenzy. God, they believed, had placed the wealth of the world into Spanish hands. Potosí was born. In a matter of decades, a lifeless plateau became one of the largest cities on earth, larger than London, larger than Paris, a city of churches, taverns, brothels, and counting houses, all sustained by silver. But silver does not dig itself out of the earth. To extract it, Spain imposed the Mita system, a forced labor draft that enslaved entire indigenous communities. Tens of thousands of men were marched into the mines, descending into airless tunnels filled with dust and mercury. Many never emerged. Others coughed their lungs out years later. Locals said the mountain ate men. Silver coins minted in Spain were rumored to still carry their blood. Yet the flow never stopped. With the invention of mercury amalgamation, silver production exploded to levels never before seen in human history. Entire landscapes were poisoned. Rivers turned toxic. But the output was staggering. Between the mid-1500s and 1800, Spain controlled the majority of the world's silver supply, and with it, global power. Silver was shipped across the Atlantic in vast treasure fleets. It was minted into the Peace of Eight, the world's first true global currency. From China to the Mediterranean, merchants accepted Spanish coin without question. Church bells rang when fleets arrived. Kings exhaled. Bankers smiled. Spain believed it had broken the rules of history. They believed wealth had finally become effortless. What they did not realize was that silver was not wealth. It was temptation. Silver transformed Spain instantly, but invisibly, it also began to erode it. Before Potosí, Spain had relied on labor, agriculture, and trade like every other nation. After Potosí, effort became optional. The state did not need productivity. It had treasure fleets. Silver allowed Spain to buy instead of make. Why develop industry when foreign goods were cheaper? Why farm when grain could be imported? Why innovate when silver solved everything? As silver poured in, prices rose. This was Europe's first great inflation, the price revolution. Bread that once cost 1 coin now cost 4. Rent soared. Wages lagged behind. Money increased. Goods did not. The poor were crushed first. A peasant could hold more coins than his grandfather, and buy less food. Hunger returned, not because Spain lacked resources, but because money itself was losing meaning. The rich, however, faced a different problem. Inflation made Spanish goods expensive. A Spanish shoemaker could not compete with a French or Dutch one. Imports flooded in. Spain became a marketplace, not a workshop. Silver entered Spain and flowed straight back out. Spain was doing the hardest work on earth, mining, shipping, conquering, only to pay other nations to manufacture what it consumed. Its rivals grew strong on Spanish money. A saying spread across Europe: Spain is the mouth that eats but never digests. Culturally, decay followed economics. In Northern Europe, merchants rose. In Spain, merchants were despised. Wealth came from status and proximity to the crown, not trade. The ideal citizen was the hidalgo, noble, idle, and proud. Manual labor became shameful. Business was vulgar. Government pensions and offices were the dream. Spain did not become poor. It became hollow. While England refined agriculture and the Dutch built finance, Spain built cathedrals and bought luxury imports. The economy glittered, but produced nothing. And when production dies, power becomes expensive. Spain's kings believed silver made them chosen. Charles V and Philip II ruled territory on which the sun never set. They believed God expected them to defend Catholicism everywhere. That belief was ruinously costly. Wars multiplied against France, the Ottomans, Protestant rebels, pirates, and eventually England itself. Spain fielded the greatest infantry in Europe and the largest fleets ever assembled. But wars consume real resources, not silver illusions. As costs ballooned, Spain borrowed against silver that had not yet arrived. The empire had become addicted. Spain's finances were propped up by loans called asientos, high-interest advances from German and Genoese bankers. The logic was simple: borrow now, repay when the fleet arrives. It worked until it didn't. When storms sank ships, debts remained. When wars dragged on, interest compounded. By the late 1500s, Spain was spending more on interest than it collected in taxes. The empire was running in place. In 1557, Philip II did what no ruler had dared before. He defaulted. He declared Spain would not pay its creditors. Banks collapsed across Europe. Trade froze. Markets panicked. Spain had triggered the first true sovereign default in modern history. But default did not end spending. It made borrowing more expensive. Spain defaulted again and again and again. The debt cycle tightened like a noose. As silver production declined, desperation rose. The crown debased its currency, replacing silver coins with copper ones and forcing the population to accept them as equal. Inflation turned into chaos. The rich hoarded silver. The poor were left with worthless metal. Commerce fractured. Trust evaporated. Mutinies followed. Cities burned. Soldiers looted their own territory. Spain's enemies grew stronger, while Spain weakened itself from within. By the mid-1600s, the silver mountain was fading. The veins ran thin. And Spain had nothing beneath the surface: no strong industry, no manufacturing base, no innovation engine. The economy collapsed into stagnation. Population declined. Fields lay abandoned. The empire drifted into irrelevance. Meanwhile, England and the Netherlands, once poor, had used Spanish silver to build ships, factories, and financial systems. They understood what Spain never had. Wealth is not metal, is productivity. Spain had found infinite money and lost everything else. The story of Spain is not ancient history. It is a warning. Whenever wealth arrives without effort, whenever money replaces work, whenever nations consume instead of produce, the same ending waits patiently. Empires do not fall when the treasure stops. They fall long before, when treasure convinces them they no longer need to earn. Thank you for watching. If you want to understand how money shapes the rise and fall of civilizations, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.